Nickel production is rising and so is demand. In this episode, I'm talking to Aiden Platel, the Managing Director of Auroch Resources, which has projects with existing shallow, high, great nickel sulphide resources in a Tier 1 jurisdiction in Western Australia. Aiden, welcome. Thanks for joining me. You're in Perth, Australia.
Thank you very much for having me, Stuart.
You have 6 projects in Australia. However, let's focus on your Saints Nickel project. Bring our viewers up to date on where you're at today.
Yeah, that's correct. We have 6 base metal projects in Australia, 3 in South Australia, mainly focused on zinc-copper. But our 3 key focus projects are our 3 nickel sulphide, high-grade nickel sulphide projects here in Western Australia, particularly our Saints project, which is where we've really been focused so far this year. Infield drilling, we've had some fantastic results already, some really high-grade nickel up to 8.8% this year. We've had nearly 11% nickel previously. It's more of an infield program because we do have that existing high-grade resource of over 21,000 tonnes of contained nickel at a high-grade 2%, average grade of 2%. Some of those holes we've drilled this year have been outside of that existing resource, so we fully expect to increase that resource and grow that resource as we come up to a resource upgrade, and that's really feeding into a scoping study that we have underway for our Saints Nickel project.
So, we brought up the fact that you are located in a Tier 1 jurisdiction. Why is that so important, especially when we're looking at nickel exploration at this point?
Well, I think it's really a globally unique offering what we have here in Western Australia in the Norseman Wiluna Greenstone Belt. Certainly home to some very large, very high-grade existing nickel sulphide deposits. Some of those are directly along strike from our projects themselves. But with that infrastructure comes the processing infrastructure. So we have 5 existing processing plants within trucking distance of all 3 of our projects. Just really means that we don't have to have a large standalone deposit. We've got several resources, albeit the Nepean and the Leinster resources are historic resources that we have to bring into the JORC 12 compliancy for the ASX. But we believe we're sitting on 40 to 50,000 tonnes of nickel across 3 projects, and that really means we can just bring them into near-term production and leverage the infrastructure that's already there, and really leverage the strong nickel price and get these things into near-term production.
How are you situated as far as funding to go after such an aggressive, drilling program that you've got lined up?
Yeah, no, we're in a great position. We raised money in October last year, so we're still sitting around 7 million Australian dollars, which is more than enough to really push our projects forward in 2022. We have that dual stream, if you like, of progressing the existing resources, bringing them into JORC 12, doing scoping studies and really pushing hard towards that near-term production and leveraging the nickel price. But at the same time, we're a junior explorer, and it's all about that discovery and really that re-rate in the share price that we'll get from a discovery. So really pushing hard on that exploration front at all 3 projects as well to make that new discovery.
I understand from reading some of your material that you're sort of going, okay, I want you to appreciate that we're currently undervalued and we've got great potential here. What is the main message that you want viewers and potential investors to know about the situation that you're in and what your project's potential is?
Yeah, well, I think that's correct. Obviously, we've seen some crazy action in the nickel price of late, some big spikes that are obviously not sustainable, but it's settled down around 32,000 US a tonne. And really, I think at our Saints project alone, we're seeing multiples. The NPV of that project alone is really a multiple of our current EV. So I think really undervalued on what we have, that tangible existing shallow high-grade resources that we have across the 3 projects. And then, as we've all seen historically, a discovery of nickel sulphides is really, takes your share price to that next level. So we really are working hard. I think when we get this scoping study out and we can publish those NPV numbers, then we can show the market that we really are undervalued in our existing resources with all that blue sky of exploration to come as well.
So what is your long-range plan? You're an exploration company. Are you starting to talk to some of the mid-tier and major players to talk about what you've got and to get them interested in venturing or joint venturing with you?
That's certainly on the table, yeah. Obviously, BHP are a big player in Western Australia, but there are certainly others with plants as well. that are bigger than us, as you said, the mid-tiers. Certainly, I think we're going to see a lot of M&A in the WA nickel space in the next 12 to 24 months. And really, I think it's a case of us just head down, pushing hard on our work programs and really developing what we've got and exploring as much as we can before that, those inquiries start coming. But I certainly think, we'll probably see someone that's more adapt to developing in production come and maybe JV, maybe it's a takeover, whatever happens,
As we look at the nickel market and also the need to have resources from countries like Australia, what does that market look like ahead, especially in considering like what the development timeline will be for you? Will you be sort of coming into that right intersection of when demand is increasing?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I mean, nickel's strong now, but I certainly think for the future, obviously driven by the renewable energy sector, and very much part of that is obviously the electric vehicle market. All forecasts are pointing to there isn't enough supply coming on that's going to meet that demand, which is, really good position for us. And again, it's why we have to go as fast as we can, really, to be in that position to take advantage of that. Obviously South Australia's, we also have zinc-copper. Copper's a big part of that as well, and zinc's, a big part of that solar energy. So it's all about that renewable sector, that critical future minerals. We have, some prospectivity for lithium as well, so even some rare earths. So we've got a bit of a lollybag there of all those critical future minerals, and it's, it's really looking good for us.
Well, yeah, also, if you have rare earths in the mix, we're seeing more and more the need to be able to move away from the reliance on the Chinese market to say, okay, you're going to be that capital source. And Australia is perfectly positioned to be able to fill that need and meet some security, concerns that so many Western countries are now saying we need to have secure access to those rare earth minerals as well as nickel.
That's correct, yeah. And you're saying, those inquiries are not only coming from the larger nickel companies, those mid-tiers, but it's also all the way downstream from the battery companies in Korea and the likes are really already reaching out to someone like us who's still very much the early stages. So you're correct. It's all about securing that supply for what's coming.
So what's the number one message that you want viewers to take away from this interview, knowing that you're going to come back and give us some great updates in a few months?
Really, I think it's prime time to invest at the moment. We really are, I believe, undervalued. You can see our tangible resources that really differentiates us, I think, on the ASX is that we do have those existing resources. They're shallow, they're high grade, they can be brought into production relatively quickly. So it does have that tangible factor to it all. But then obviously that exploration, we've got some really high potential targets that we're getting stuck into. Really good chance of making that new discovery and building ourselves, our resource inventory and thus the company into something quite significant. And that's all happening now. The drill rig's turning and it's time to invest.
So when will we start to see some more news coming out from you?
We're certainly working on things right now as we speak. So
yeah.
We'll have some announcements over the next couple of weeks. We do have samples in the lab from that rather large drill program, diamond program we did at Saints, so they'll be coming out over the next few weeks. We have some interesting results coming from South Australia on our zinc target, and we will be starting drilling up at our Leinster project as well very shortly, so plenty to come. Watch
this space then.
Indeed.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, and I look forward to having you come back and give us updates in the next couple of months.
Sounds very good. Thanks very much for having me, Stuart.
Okay. Bye for now.